Spontaneous day to all of you. Welcome to Lead with Intentions, where every single week at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, I, your host, Coach Ambereen, shows up ready to serve. It is truly an honor to have crossed paths with you in this very moment. I want you to know that I appreciate you so very much for prioritizing yourself and giving us the most important commodity in the world, which is your time. Welcome to Spanglish, the World Network, and on Zingo TV, channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on your respective app stores, iOS, Android, Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire Sticks, Roku, and any TV, Smart TV 2016 on forward will support our application as you are downloading our app. Or if you already downloaded it, go ahead, leave us a review. Let us know what we are doing to serve you greatly and what we can do additionally to make this a better experience for you. As always, this app is completely free and we encourage that communication with you and us. Lead with Intentions is a show that is set out on an expedition to allow us the path to discovering our best selves. And it is my intention every single week to bring forth guests who are doing just that. They're living lives that are full of intentionality, energy, goodness. And today is no different. We've got Coach Mohammad Khan, aka Momekh, which is what he goes by. And he is somebody who I cross paths with very randomly, but for him, very strategically. Yet, here we sit here today. He's not only an entrepreneur, he's a father, he's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant family man. He's somebody who's extremely intelligent, who really charges forth with a lot of risk and knowing and has the determination to understand that he can do anything that he desires. As we keep talking today, you'll figure out why he's here today and everything that is so encompassing of who he is. And I think I'm falling short in describing him. So welcome to the show, Mohammad.
Thank you so much. And I'm looking around seeing who this Mohammed you're talking about. Where is this guy? Except for the father part, I that's a fact. I can vouch for that, alhamdulillah. But yeah, man, thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to be here. Definitely a pleasure to be in your company. 100%.
It's always great. I think Mohammad and I have learned to what matters mostly to us, and he's kind of helped me as well figure out and make things a lot clearer and crisper for me because he's been doing business for so long. Now, Mohammad, tell us something about yourself. Who are you?
Ooh, who am I? That's my question. Hey, so no, I'm a random guy from Lahore, Pakistan, making a living online. Like you said, family and people is like a higher priority, and within people, family comes first. So it's almost like it's a very practical thing to put family first, and then friends and all that. So I guess that's one way of looking at it. That's the only way I would like to look at it. I like to. I used to call myself an entrepreneur back when I couldn't spell it. Now I can spell it, so I'm back to calling myself a writer and someone who likes to live a project-based life. Um, for the last, I would say, 2.5 years, I am saying no more. So I would classify that as finding that focus, I guess, that we have been talking about as well. So that basically now puts me in a space that is normally called as a writer, coach, content creator. All of these words are just labels. Otherwise, it's more of is what I heard Richard Branson say one time. And he said entrepreneurship is just curiosity formalized. So I think that is how I see this. And yeah, so I work online and I help people do the same.
Simplicity. Love it. It's one of my favorite words. Okay. Well, we're going to dive right into it. We're going to ask you, what does it mean for you to live an intentional life or to lead with intention?
Yeah, that's a good question. In intentional life is a lot of no's. Very relevant to the frame of mind that I'm in right now. I think intention is that, of course, you decide what you want to do. And pardon me here. I'm sure you know this a bit more than the people who are watching this. That before trying to discuss something, I would like to really define it, to find out exactly what it is. So we're talking about the same thing. So intention for me is something that you decide to do. At the same time, something that you also consider that these are the things that I won't be doing because now I've decided to do this. So living with intention is that you you know, or you are closer to the answer of what next. Um,
Mm.
Today I was following a lot of Chris Gillibo. Chris Gillibo, for those who don't know, shout out to Mr. Chris, a blogger par excellence and a traveler and an old school writer. And he used to say that people used to ask him that, what superpower would you want? And a lot of people would say, flying or seeing through walls or whatever. Take your pick. Um, he would say, the superpower I would want is to know the answer to the question, what next? um,
Mm.
Intentionality, being intentional about your day to day, gives you that superpower that you know the answer to the question, what next? So I think if you have that answer, whenever you ask yourself, okay, what am I going to do next? You have a clear answer and you are kind of like excited and looking forward to doing that thing. I think you would qualify as someone who's living in an intentional life. How was
Mm.
that for an answer? Did you like that?
I love any answer that comes out. Why is that important for you?
Why is being intentional important for me, you say?
Yes.
Um, but from a secular point of view, which is a very strange way of starting an answer, it's I would say it's because the other option is very, very, very dark, and it's just not it's just too bad. I mean, to put it very simply, to
Mhm.
live without intention, it's just too the words that are coming to mind are like words like meaningless or hopeless, but those are all like the opposites of intentional to begin with. So I
Mhm.
think if you're not living an intentional life, you are asking for trouble, and you more or less get it. That's the negative side of the answer, and the positive side is that living with intention is, I think, is what we as humans are supposed to be doing to begin with. It's just we are answering yes to our own calling within ourselves, is to live out that purpose that we've been given. I think
Mm.
that's
Okay.
how it. That's interestingly the questions that you're asking, Umbreen. After all the conversations we've had in the past, these are very, very interesting questions, and I haven't really thought about them like that until now. And thank you again for asking these questions.
Welcome
These
to
are,
your coaching session.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of
Okay, now
course.
that we are here and we're talking a little bit about intention, you choose one of my favorite words, purpose. What is your purpose?
Ooh, my purpose is two words. Now, the reason I have those two words is because I've thought about this for some time. The two words are die empty. That's my purpose. That And I think it's a good question to ask, and it's a very tough question to answer, unless you have a ready-made answer like I had, and I just said die empty,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that every day I want to be in a position where I say that I have used everything God has given me, and this is based off of this very, very insightful quote by Irma Bombek. She was a journalist and a writer back in the day, and she said something to the effect that when I stand before God, I want to say that I used everything you gave me. And
Mm.
when I read that, the words that came to my mind were like die empty. That I want to die with everything that I have, all the gifts, all the resources, all the talent, or whatever, or the lack thereof, everything that I've been given, it is to be executed upon in this world. I don't want to take anything with me. I'm not supposed to be taking anything with me. So my purpose is that every day I die empty. So when I do die, and lo and behold, everyone will die and be answerable to their deeds. That's what I believe in, being a Muslim and all. Um, so I think that uh, those two words, yeah, I would have put them on a T-shirt instead of discipline creativity, but die empty just sounds darker for my humor, although that can go dark. But I used to have a poster right behind me. which is not lit right now, but yeah, it says die empty. So that's my purpose. And I want this to be everyone's purpose. I want this to be your purpose. I want this to be my family's purpose. That whatever you have, you just bring it out. And all the routines, all the discipline, all the structure, all those things that are supposed to be limiting your creativity. Discipline
Mm-hmm.
is a dangerous word for a lot of people, for a lot of creatives like me who used to call themselves creative at least. um, because discipline is something that brings you down and hogs you down and doesn't let you express yourself and all that. um, but then again, you find mentors and teachers who show the way, and lo and behold, Rumi of all the people, the absolutely famous and remarkable Persian poet,
Mm-hmm.
he says to the effect that wind, when it blows, it's just a breeze. But the moment that breeze is disciplined in a reed, it becomes music. So I hope that we all live very, very harmoniously musical lives. Yeah.
I have never heard that from Rumi, but you're a writer, and I know something that you love to do, and you dive in and you look up a lot of people. But like recently, I would say poetry is something that I'm like, oh, you know what? That's a
Yeah.
pretty um, creative way of expression, and the best thing about it, I believe, poetry, like everyone dissects it very differently for their own lives in the way they see fit, right? Now, explain to us a little bit about, why did you choose to introduce yourself as a writer first and foremost?
Yeah. I would love to say I chose it, but I quickly figured out, even I got published when I was 21 years old, and I'm right now 43, so that's more than 2 decades ago. I was writing political opinion and on like national and almost international newspapers back. If the young guys here know what a newspaper is or was, um, and I wouldn't tell the editor my age because we were
Mm,
communicating on email, because I would like, if the editor finds out that I am telling the country how it should be run and what the presidential system should be, and I'm like 20 years old. So yeah, that so, and I think the reason I call myself a writer is a very functional thing.
mhm,
Because I know writers who say I'm not a writer yet because there's something that I have to do, or there has to be a book out there or whatever. For me, these things are very, very, I forced myself, I've trained myself to look at them, and I think one should see it like that. That if you can write whatever, if you can write your name, you're a writer. Now it's just a matter of scale and quality. Welcome to life.
mhm,
If you're born, excuse me, you're alive. Now it's just a matter of quality and scale. If you can click a button, you're a photographer. Yeah, that's it. Live with it. I mean, the photographers, my friends who are professional photographers, they have dedicated their lives now, going over decades, just that they would spend their weeks just to capture that one click. I know them personally. I know these kind of people personally, and they're remarkable people. They're very dedicated people. But sometimes they get angry when they see someone that, look at these, they're calling themselves a photographer. They don't know an ISO from an aperture. What are they talking about? And I'm like, relax. It's a function. They can click a button. That makes them a photographer. It's now just a matter of quality and scale. You are qualitatively and quantitatively a far better photographer than they are, but they are a photographer because they can click a button. That's it. So, um, having said that, I think there is a default configuration. I have some interesting things to say about the nurture versus nature debate, but I
mhm,
think that everyone can look in and say that, I find it easy to do X, Y, Z. I found it easy to write, or any of
mhm,
the creative fields, and that has absolutely nothing to do with me. I would start something that has to do with writing, and someone else would start it. I would just finish it quicker, and it will come out
mhm.
better. And nothing absolutely to do with me. I mean, I don't know how it is coming off to the listeners that I'm being like, yeah, I got this. I'm so talented. I'm not saying it like that. I'm like, it's, yeah, I'm 5'8". I'm 5'8". That's it. I mean, that's my height. I'm not tall. That's my height. I mean, it's not something I'm not showing. I'm like, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. So, in that sense, I could write better than most people. I'm, of course, still a long way to go. There always is a long way to go. Um, so, so in that sense, I call myself a writer because entrepreneur is a difficult word to spell. I don't,
Mm.
I don't take that even that seriously in terms of an identity. My identity is not that of a writer. In like my core identity is, I don't think is that of a writer. It's more of like a student and teacher. That's how I see myself.
Mm.
Writing is a medium of teaching and of also learning, because writing for the most part is a thinking tool. So that's my identity, and the medium for that is right. And the reason I say writer is because it has, it's a good answer to give when someone says, "What do you do?"
Mm. Yeah.
Um, so that's pretty much how I see it. I don't know if that is the kind of answer you were looking for.
Hey, on this show, I don't look for any answers. They just come to me. So I just take them.
No, man.
And I think that's what's so important is that every single one of you who is listening and watching and viewing this episode, I really encourage you to take down some of these gold nuggets. You know that I always have a pen and paper ready, taking things down, jotting stuff down that I think is such wisdom, that our guests come here and share with us about their own lives. And they can really shortcut a lot of what we're doing in our own lives, right? Like, so creative discipline, like that, if we just apply that simple philosophy into our
Mm.
lives, it becomes so much easier to find out, well, is this going to take me towards that goal or is it not? And
And
I
it's
think,
and it's the way I see it. I'm being sorry,
yeah.
kind of like cutting you here, but what you to your point, what I'm sharing in terms of writing as a thinking tool, those who are listening, when you said that you write, you're a writer. So you're writing to clear your mind, to think, to organize, to be better at doing whatever you want to do. And that activity of writing things down, that basically takes it out of yourself and gives it gives it substance. It literally is the first step when people say that distance yourself from something, and just take a step back and look at the situation. Writing actually helps you do that. It's one of the most effective ways of doing that. And I learned that from someone as well. I learned that from some teacher out there. And um, so it's not, I mean, you were saying that learning from mentors and all that. I don't consider myself at all a mentor in that sense, although we have had that coaching relationship as well. But you're my coach as well, right? So it's more of a thing that the way I see this is that I'm trying to go on a path, and there's someone who has been there before me, or someone
Mm.
who's like ahead of me. So that person just turns around and says, "Hey, listen, there's a thing on the left. Watch out for that, and you can go from the right." So they're familiar with the path that I'm trying to be on. So I call those guys teachers or experts or whatever you want to call them. And that's how I see whatever paths that I've taken, that I can turn back and say, hey, listen, if you want to do what I just did, not because I did it, but because that's the path you're on, and I'm also on the same path. We both,
Mm-hmm.
students of the game, or, on the same journey, or however you want to call it. So, just learn because I want to teach. Because then the reason I want to teach is because I learned, because there was someone out there who wanted to teach and help me get there faster or quicker or in a better way, so yeah, that writing things down, again, who's listening, everyone agrees to it. Whenever you even in workshops, when I'm doing them and I'm saying that, everyone like, yeah, they're not. I'm like, write down your goals, and then like, yeah, and I'm like, you know what, I told you to write down your goals. I haven't written down my goals for a long time, and if I'm not doing it, I'm pretty sure you guys are not doing it either. And they're like, yeah. Then they start writing it down. um Everyone is human. Everyone makes mistakes, and everyone falls down. But yeah, it's the getting up part that writing. And I think you have, either you're holding a very, very frozen pose, or there's a problem with the internet.
Oh, I was going to say the same thing about you. Your voice was breaking.
Yeah, the
Okay.
charms of
Well,
the
that's
internet.
life. Yes, that's
Yeah.
life, and that's okay. Roll with the punches. Okay, so now I feel like the people who are listening, and even myself, I've gotten a new glimpse of you, right? Share something with us that will allow us to understand your family dynamics a little bit better.
Hmm. Well, family dynamics. That's a very, very interestingly phrased question. Um, Ask that question in a different way. Um, Rephrase that question,
Sure.
or, or
So
take it a bit further. What kind of thing what kind of dynamic um, are you asking about?
yeah,
Or
when you
share
think
your
about your
dynamic.
family,
Maybe I can riff on that.
because family is my forte. Everybody that's watching here knows that I am. My purpose is family, right? That's my core unit. That's what I think God sent us to do, is like to be really mindful of those relationships, especially the ones that we get to influence right off the bat. So I
Hmm.
want you to dive in and tell us something about your family where we could feel like we're in your household, that we're part of
Oh, you don't
something
want to do that.
that you're experiencing. Yeah, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
No, it's of course from an identity perspective. What you talked about, um, that I would say that other people would say it like that. Perhaps that I wear religion on my sleeve, although I don't see it like that. But um, we are a Muslim family, and that does not mean that the traditions that we have are coming from the faith. The traditions we have a lot to do with the culture that we're in, which is Pakistan. Um, I thoroughly enjoy that family life. I come from a big family, and over the years, I have come to appreciate and see the value in that, um, especially comparing it with people who don't have that.
Mm,
Um, I also tend to think that at the end of at the end of it all, we are all very selfish. We should be selfish, not the negative type. The negative selfish is the one who looks out for himself or herself at the expense of others.
mm-hmm.
Otherwise, family gives you something that no one else really can. That's how I feel. And lo and behold, that's a big statement to make. That if I be in a position as a family member to give my family something that they can't get somewhere else, which again, you're asking me the question, and I'm trying to answer it. Um, but from a but yeah, that's almost like a responsibility, and a joyful responsibility.
Mm,
I always want to balance the joy with always want to balance the cloud with the dirt, because we get fixated too much either on one side, and that's usually not a good mix. So so the 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 family that God has given you. Everyone has a family, of course. Like that's like a default state of a human being. I think there is more to it than we see, and the more you
mm,
explore that side, the more. Uh, I'm not even saying that explore it with an open heart. I'm not saying that explore it, with joy or whatever. I mean, I'm not even tainting it with any of those positive or negative or whatever emotions.
yeah.
I'm just saying that you have a family, blood relations that were born out of your parents that you now have. um, they're there possibly for a reason,
Mm,
and they demand some kind of an exploration on your part, and how you can benefit them. So in the long run, you can be benefited as well. I think that's one way of how I see the whole family dynamic. But again, that depends on how you see that the way I've articulated it. Making
mhm.
sense? Or what's your take
100%.
on that?
We're on the same frequency on this one. I think truly, like I said, I will share with many people is your family begins to influence you before you even take your first breath on earth,
Yeah.
right? That dialogue between the mom and the dad. If they're
Hmm.
siblings and if they're fighting, that child is a part of all of it. Yes, they're not physically
Hmm.
there, but they can
Mm.
hear, they can feel, they can, they can understand. Because the mom goes through chemical changes too, right? Like everything that she feels, the kiddo feels. And
Yeah.
so I think it's one of the biggest responsibilities that we have. And I really believe that that responsibility is something that we shouldn't take for granted,
Yeah.
because it is true. If you look at all the research, like to have a healthy kid is a miracle.
Wow. Yeah. As a parent, I can vouch for that. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
And I
That's a
think it's like
miracle in
everything
itself.
else in life. Once you have it, you're like, oh, whatever, I have it. But that's why I think people like me who really want families to charge forth with a sense of saying this is service. Like every single day, God wakes me up and I get to serve. I get to serve these people who are around me. And I think, you alluded to as you said, I have a really big family. But if you're living here in America, your really big family is mom, dad, and the kids. That's it. So define for us a little bit. How do you, I guess, how do you
Oh
define
wow.
family?
How much time do you have? Yeah. Yeah. No, so yeah, yeah, I got your question. Yeah, yeah. That's so we have five siblings. Let's start from there. I'm the youngest, and so and I have four kids. Alhamdulillah.
Mhm,
Two daughters and two sons. The eldest, she's turning 17, and the youngest is 8. And all four are being homeschooled. And in Pakistan, homeschool is not that common as it is in the States, although it's not very common in States as well. But in Pakistan, it's much rarer to be homeschooling your kids. And the reason I do that is because I don't find that much value in schools to be sending my kids to there and handing them over to someone for 8-10 hours. I rather, they stay home and be under us in that sense. Um, so I have four kids and like husband, wife, that's six, but I have five siblings and they have 3, 4, 5, and 3 children. So, and now my eldest is almost 20 years older than me, my brother. So I'm the baby child,
mhm,
and so their children are like having children now. So so I'm like in from a hierarchy perspective, I'm in like the grandfather hierarchy.
mhm,
And so yeah, we alhamdulillah have like when our just the siblings get together. That's when I say a family get together is
mhm,
like not just the family like the children and the mother father, but like our siblings as well. My five siblings and my siblings, when they get together, that's like more than 40 people. And we do that relatively often, like say perhaps uh, twice or thrice a month. And even right now, as I'm talking to you, and we rescheduled this, my wife and the kids have gone to my sister's place, which they visit once a week, like on the bare minimum. Um, so of course I understand the Western ethos where it's a big thing to be calling your parents, right? I gather that from a couple of friends that I have there, a couple of clients that I have there, and a lot of movies and the media that I have consumed over the years. That's supposed to be a thing that where the parent is being communicated by with the child like once a month or whatever, and they have that in their goals that I want to communicate with my parents more this year or this week or whatever. you know that's an absolutely different world from where I come from. So I am 43 years old and I live in my parents' house. For that is I understand when I say that. I understand that your Western audience, just that sentence will be very difficult to digest. They'll be like, this guy is a loser, if because for someone to be living in their parents' house is like a loser. My brother, after retiring from his work, he like made sure that he comes to the same house. So it's just that I'm living here. My brother is also living here because he wants to be with the mother. So we are here with our mother. So that's like again, a lot of times we take it for granted because it's so normal now for us. But the moment we look around, even within our society here in Pakistan, and of course via my friends and my connections and clients and media that we consume, when we look outside, we realize that, wait, they don't have that,
Mm-hmm.
or they have less of it. So what we have, although we never actively worked for it in that sense, with that intention, with that intentionality, that we are
Mm-hmm.
working on family, we just was like, we were just being there for whoever was with us, and it happened to be family, and we're just now there. So that kind of like morphed into that, oh, we should have that intention of looking out for family. So to your point of living with intentions, being more intentional about your day to day, a lot of times those intentions, reveal themselves as you go through life, and that gives you that focus. And focus, as we should know, is not a mental activity, it's a physical one. So we discover focus as we go through life. Focus, so that focus is intention, right? On the other
Mm-hmm.
side of focus is intention. So yeah, I think that size of family is just mind-boggling for people who have no idea about this. And when I look at people, final point on that, when I look at, because I consume a lot of content on uh, coaching and how to have, say, YouTube channel, or how to start a business and all that, because that's how I started back in the day. In 99, I sold my first website. Now I help people to start their own businesses and create, convert their hobbies and passions into an online business, and go from a hobby to their first sale. um, all through that journey, that thing just is there, that being focused will inshallah take you there. I don't know if that makes made sense.
Yeah. Okay, so for all of you who are here listening, there are a few words that Muhammad's repeating, which many of us don't wouldn't know. So Alhamdulillah is just praise be to God, and that's how we just normally talk. We just interject God in all of
Represent.
our, and then just he said Inshallah, that means by the will of God. So God willingly, that thing will happen. So I love the fact that you sat there and you described it, because I actually got more than I was hoping to get, but it is so true when we look at our culture, and we think of community. We don't think of
Hmm.
community per se as our family. We think of community outside of that. Yet, most people would define our lives to say that, oh, that's so much community that you have right there at the fingertips, 40 people at your disposal, or 2 to 3 times a month, or what's going on there? Yet, how have you seen this, maybe unintentional, but very very conventional way of being raised in the culture of Pakistan, where your family is just this core unit, and not only just the nuclear unit, but the moms, the dads, your wife's parents, and her siblings, and everyone kind of becomes part. And I think it's so beautiful to see how the number of people expand out, as the relationships keep evolving and more so than before. What have you seen has been one of the biggest challenges that you have faced?
Ooh, that's an easy answer, actually, because over the years, um, I've tried to learn this field of, say, content creation,
Mm-hmm.
or coaching. So I'm learning from the best I can find, right? So I spend a lot of money and time on educating myself, so I can die empty and all that. Whenever I look at people on YouTube or whatever telling me to do this, or get up early, or focus and all that, now I am very cognizant of this, that, wait a minute, the guy who's telling me this, does that guy even have a family? Is he even married? Doesn't even know what he's talking about. So that, I think that can be presented as a challenge, although challenge has that whiff of a negativity in there, in this
Mm-hmm.
context. So I'm very grateful for what I have. I won't replace it. I can't think of anything with which I can replace it. What I would want to replace this with. You know, I would rather have a slow productivity approach to things, um, than have no family and be very hyper focused because I have no one to distract me. So I think a challenge would be that there are some distractions that are part and parcel of the whole thing, and especially for someone like me who's been working from home since, like, again, since I was in college. I've always worked from home. This is why one room that I've converted into a studio slash office. Um, so these are very clearly marked boundaries. That at first I had to tell my siblings and family that, when I'm in the office, consider it an office, please.
Hmm.
Now my children, they understand that, Abu is in the office, Abu being father or dad. So for them, that's in the office. So they're like, it's office. Make sure you go the only time you go there. So whenever one of the children, if walks in, I would take it very seriously, because I know that if that guy is here, there's something that I'm needed now for. It's not like a random, like, dad, I wanted XYZ or whatever. So those boundaries have to be created. So it's like a double whammy in that sense, that I'm working from home, which in itself is a challenge, in terms of being distraction free, and we have such a big setup of a family. So that's a challenge, I would say, but it's a challenge I would happily accept, given the positive side of being in such a wholesome, loving family, alhamdulillah, by God's ultimate grace. And to your point, when you say that alhamdulillah means being grateful to God, I think that's a very, very, it's like almost like I feel this like a boss move, that we have this word alhamdulillah, which is like a constant reminder that just be grateful. And the modern literature of self-help is very clear on the benefits of being grateful at all times. And we already have, yeah, and we and we already have that, like just one like phrase. You just start dropping that into conversations. I guess that's why people think that I'm wearing it on my sleeve.
Hmm.
It's like, what else do you want me to say? Like, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful. That just doesn't sound right. So, alhamdulillah sounds more like off the tongue, and it's of course absolutely meaningful. So yeah, but that's, I think that would be a challenge that comes with the family, and a lot of people who are hyper focused and they want to like give it all and have 12-hour work days and all that. You can still have that here. I've had that here. Back when I started my coaching product line, so to speak, I was working 12, 13 hours a day. I would start work at 7 a.m. on this chair, and this ass will not leave this chair till like 8 p.m. Pardon my French, but so that has happened in this same office with the same setup. That's possible. You just need to set up boundaries. You need to communicate more, perhaps. That becomes challenging for sure. But yeah, that's what challenges are about. They are there to be overcome. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna dive in. I'm gonna nitpick what you said. You said challenges kind of sort of become a negative way of looking at it. Why did you say that?
In this, especially in this context, because I mean, if someone comes to me and says, "Hey, listen, Mohammed, I need to talk to you about my family," and then I'll be like, "Yeah, okay," and then they go, "They're a challenge." I'll be like, "Okay, yeah." I mean, in that sense, I meant
Mm.
that when I say that, it's challenge, because you asked the question that what are the challenges you faced. Um, so I guess that was that was the way I was looking at it at that time. That it can be there can be a negative association with that, and for sure, it can very easily be negative in terms of what kind of family member is trying to communicate with you or trying to distract you, and how persistent are they. So those things come into play. But yeah, I think a challenge would be, um, also because I've been trained from a very, very interesting teacher and mentor. He is a CEO of a company about 6,000 people, and I asked him a question. I said, tell me, how does that work? You are a CEO of a 5,000, 6,000 plus company. So what problems do you face on a day to day? So that's what I asked him, Ambreen. And before I could finish my question, he was like, Mohammed, problems. That's not the right word I would use. Um, uh, Problems are always negative and very, like, it's a
Mm-hmm.
problematic thing. The word I would use is challenge. So I said, touche. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first lesson you taught me of how to lead a 5,000 person company, is not to call a problem,
Yeah.
call it a challenge, because a challenge is an invitation, right? A
Yes.
challenge is like it's inviting you. It's telling, hey, come, let's see if you can figure this out. A problem is like, ooh, it's a problem. It's a
Mm-hmm.
completely different shift of perspective. So yeah, all problem, and of course families can be quote unquote problematic.
Mm-hmm.
No two ways about that. I mean, humans can be problematic, no matter who that person is. Even you can be problematic to yourself. But calling your problems as challenges, that immediately shifts. I mean, doesn't it? Don't you
Yeah.
feel that the moment you call it a challenge instead of a problem? I'm having problems at work. I'm having challenge. You start clapping. I'm having challenges at work. Yeah, yeah. Let's see what I can do about it. So it's an invitation. It's an adventure almost. Oh, that's another word I use quite often that I haven't used so far. The adventure side of things. But yeah, challenge is an adventure, and so that's how you should look at it. I think that's how I try to look at it. I don't know if you should or not.
I agree with you 100%. I don't call things in life problems, but I
What do
really
you,
put
what do
on
you
this
call them?
hat of challenges. I don't even like to
Hmm.
call it difficulties because I'm like, oh, if you're saying difficulty, you're already wiring your brain to say, oh,
Hmm.
here it goes on brain. You're not going to get the answer. It's going to be so hard for you to get the result. It's going to require so much work. But when I look at it as a challenge, for me, challenge equals growth.
Yeah, that's almost
And
by definition. Yeah, yeah.
that's like God's way of saying, hey, you need to learn a lesson, or you need to build a skill set, or you need to just learn something right now that you don't know already.
What
So
the
step
Stoics
up.
say. What the Stoics say. Obstacle is the way. The
Yes, yes.
obstacle is the invitation. It is telling you to come and fix it, make it
Mm-hmm.
work. But I'm just curious now that if you don't use the word difficulty, so what would you call a difficult challenge? A challenging challenge? What is that?
No, I would just say, oh, it's a bigger challenge for me. I really have to sit
Bigger
down, like
challenge.
you said.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I think you talked a little bit, and I want to ask you, to give our audience members, what's one piece of advice that you can tell them when they are going through a challenge? What's a good way of working through that?
Yeah, I think it was Churchill who said that if you're going through hell, keep going. So, um, I think the only way to go through a challenge is through it. That's the only way. And there is something to be said about choosing the right kind of battles. If
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't yet been involved, there may be some wisdom in taking a different route or avoiding the situation altogether. There's something to be said about that. But if you're in it, you better be in it to win it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you the right way forward is through it. And uh, to say that do not push it away. Do not say that you know oh my God, again, the perspective should be, okay, this here is to grow me. This is here to force me to grow. So let's grow. Let's go. So I think perspective shift will it's underrated, the power of
Mm-hmm.
perspective. And it changes everything. It changes everything. I mean, it's the age old thing, and it's been taught in a lot of classrooms. Unfortunately, we forget. Um, but perspective changes so many things, and it's the same guy who is building uh, a wall. It's the same guy who's building a mosque or a church. I mean, these examples get changed depending on where it's being said. But the same guy can say, I'm just here to work and I'm just putting one brick on another brick and that's it. Another guy can say, doing the same thing, exact same thing, that I'm building a place for people to live. And another guy can say, I'm building a place, a holy place, and it's being built by my hands. Those three people will be turning up to three different jobs, although it's the same job, same challenge. So yeah, a librarian can be like working a job. A librarian can say, I don't know if people even know what a librarian is anymore. But, but
Big building, lots of bug people work there.
yeah, dating yourself at all. So yeah, I mean, it can be, I am organizing information for people to inform themselves and educate themselves. That's one way of looking
Hmm.
at it. Another way of looking at it, I'm showing up for a job and I just get paid and I go home.
Mm.
Those two people will have two different jobs, although it's the same job. So that's perspective. And I think knowing that, and now you're facing the challenges, challenge yourself to come up with the juiciest explanation that you can, and that invites you, and you go in to solve it or try to solve it to the best of your capability. You'll be surprised how much you're capable of. Yeah,
Yeah. I
that's what I.
definitely think that's true. I think as humans, we have limitless potential and we are capable of doing anything as long as we use, you said, like put our mind to it, look at that as an opportunity of growth and adventure and exploration. And that I think
Mm.
happens across every single thing in life. How do people get in touch with you, Muhammad?
Oh yeah, you can go to momekh.com, momekh.com. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, if people know what that is. I also have a YouTube channel, Momekh. You search for that, you'll find me anywhere you find Momekh. That's how that works. Um, but can I ask you a question, or do you have any more questions?
I mean, you can always ask me a question.
Okay, so what's your intention with this show, with this what you're doing right now?
Yeah, my
Why
intention
are
is
we
to
doing this?
allow.
Although we talk a
Yeah,
lot, why are we doing this one?
yeah. I think my intention is to really make people understand that I have faith in you and your own greatness. That
Hmm.
we come into lives and we can shift perspectives in any situation. And when that becomes an intentional perspective, sky's the
Oh,
limit.
allow me to challenge you.
Yes.
How can you have faith in other people's greatness without knowing them?
Because they think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our God, has put all of us on this earth,
Hmm.
right? Every single one of us is custom made. We bring forth something that we may not have discovered yet.
Yeah,
And that is our own greatness.
nice one. That's a good
Yeah.
answer.
You bring it. You bring it on my show and challenging me. You bring it here, okay? Do you know how much intentionality went into me actually hopping on this adventure? Because for me, I think there are so many people who
Hmm.
are here ready to serve, and this is their platform to say, "I want to share your greatness with the world." I want
Hmm.
people to know that a man who lives in Lahore, Pakistan, has crossed paths with Ambreen who lives in America, and they literally this jive. And God didn't just happen. It was pre-planned. It was planned with something, and maybe it was this moment, and maybe there are hundreds more moments that are coming forth. Right? Regardless, it's all by divine creation, I believe, and divine timing that we get to sit here and really serve people in the most miraculous of ways. So I have got this thing called intentional wrap up. These are rapid fire questions. So one
Okay.
word or one sentence, whatever comes to
Ooh.
your mind, serve it up. And are you ready for it?
Okay.
All right. What do you want to leave behind for the world?
Ooh. Education.
Okay. How will you
That's
know
that
you've
just
led
came.
yeah,
Hmm.
perfect. How will you
Hmm.
know you've led an intentional life?
Paradise. God
Hmm.
gives me a pat on the back. He goes, "Yeah, you got it.
If you could create one law that everybody had to follow, what would that law be?
Wake up before the sun."
What is one lesson that has made you who you are today?
Ooh, waking up before the sun.
I love it. Um,
Yeah, and, I think for someone like me, and this is a very, of course, a very, very personalized answer. It's not a framework that works for everyone. These are not fundamentals. These are just my answers. Um, I think what really helped me was this brush up with it with discipline. So because I've been always been told that I'm a creative guy, and I've displayed creativity early on. So that's why this creative discipline or disciplined creativity, I think, is the way that really, really helped me and helps me to this day. Whenever I'm off discipline, things go wonky. When I'm on discipline, you know, it's like in command. That's how I
okay.
see it.
What's the
Yeah,
key to a healthy relationship, Muhammad?
communication through and through.
Okay. What's one
You.
change? Go ahead.
Hmm. No, sure. Sorry. Go ahead.
What's one change you want to see in the world?
Ooh. more communication, I guess. People just, yeah, I mean, seriously, people assume, and then they decide, and then they make bunkers, and they like go to war with their opinion. It's a loosely held opinion. You know it's a loosely held opinion, but because you haven't communicated, it can be because, hey, this guy's from Lahore, Pakistan, so he must be XYZ. This guy is from whatever and whatever. It can start from there at that level to, my client will not answer my emails because, although I haven't written an email, but they will assume that my products suck or whatever. So those assumptions are are a symptom that you're not communicating, and our, as communicated ability to communicate,
Mhm.
act accordingly. Yeah.
Fair enough. So thank you so very much, Mohammed, for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom and your greatness with every single person here who is listening, watching, and hopefully learning something good from this conversation here today.
Thank you so
Um,
much for having me here.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. This show can be heard on
Likewise.
Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Follow the news and the programming. As we close today, my prayer is that this show will embark you on a transformative path to be in gratitude, accept the unfoldings of life, and commit to values and dreams which will allow you to tap into your own greatness. As I have faith, Tawakal in you, when we unleash authenticity, we start to live intentionally. Remember, there's only one of you, one life designed by excellence. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, most importantly, live it with intentionality to better serve you.